Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresham Harkless from CEO Chat, powered by CBNation.co and Blue 16 Media, your choice for all your web design, SEO, and digital marketing needs. And this is a little bit of a different chat because we're going to be actually doing a mashup or roundup around the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And if you've talked with me, you understand completely that we created this I Am CEO podcast in addition to being an offshoot of the CEO Chat podcast. It was definitely like a way to get in a laser focused time frame a lot of great information, including the CEO chat, CEO hacks, CEO nuggets, and all that great information. But really the thesis and theme of this entire podcast is to look at what it means to be a CEO, an entrepreneur, a business owner, to evaluate and see if that has changed, if it's always as it has been, or if it's evolved and pivoted into something new, or if it will be possibly in the future. So what I had the opportunity to do is really to talk with these entrepreneurs and business owners, these CEOs, and ask them, what does being a CEO mean to them? What does that definition mean? What do those words mean? Do you even see yourself as a CEO? So what I really enjoyed, during these first 100 episodes is I had the opportunity to hear a lot of great insight and information based off of how these entrepreneurs, business owners, and CEOs perceived their role and what it is that they were supposed to do. So what I want you to do is really to think about like how you might answer this. And I would love to hear your response and love to hear more information from you on how exactly you view being a CEO, whether it be on our roundups, you send us a tweet, or you comment on one of our Facebook groups or our Facebook pages. As a whole, I would definitely, love to hear from you exactly what you think. So what I want you to do is to really enjoy this special I Am CEO mashup and roundup as we look at what it means to be a CEO.
You're an entrepreneur and you make vital decisions that hopefully blossom into a business. You're the savvy, out-of-the-box risk taker who believes wholeheartedly in the process of innovation. Innovation that will change the world. This is CEO Chat with Gresham Harkless, and you're about to embark on a journey through the awesome world of business. Gresham is the epitome of drive and desire as he works to help support small businesses and entrepreneurship. And you're about to learn from this entrepreneur how you can improve your odds of success in the business world. Welcoming the host of CEO Chat, here's Gresham Harkless.
Now, I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition for being a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show, whether it be people that are solopreneurs or people that have big, huge Fortune 500 companies that have thousands of employees, or people that are business owners and have been in business for 5 or 10 years, or those that may just have a team of contractors and are the quote unquote only employees. So I wanted to ask you specifically, what does being a CEO mean to you?
I think it's an awesome opportunity because in the last 3 years since I left the corporate world and have been devoting full time to your tack and stitches, the flexibility in meeting new people, the flexibility in being allowed to get up every morning, read my daily word, and take my walk of 7 miles a day, that devotion to my time with reading the daily word, listening to what God is telling me and leading me in my life, and then also taking the journey of owning my business and doing my business. And again, the flexibility has been amazing, and having the time to be inspired, to be creative, to actually have your own schedule is just the most amazing part of this journey that I've had.
Yeah, when you first asked me if I would be interested to join this podcast, I haven't really seen myself as a CEO quite yet, because I think like a lot of people, I have that stereotype in my head that, it's just some older white male running like a huge corporation and has to like respond to the board of directors and like has to like deal with like $1 billion negotiations or something like that. So I appreciate that you're reaching out to CEOs at every level. And so for me, when I started thinking about it more as a CEO, I was just really reflecting on my experience. And as a CEO, we set the foundation. We actually kind of become the foundation of our company, especially as an entrepreneur who built it from nothing. The company's successes and challenges are truly on our shoulders. We are constantly actively creating and maintaining a functioning system all at the same time. So therefore, I believe or value that it's important for us as a CEO to know how to how every aspect of the company functions. So every area that needs improvement and why, all of its strengths, just the entire ins and outs of the company is important for us as CEO to understand. And the only way to do this is to be completely invested. So not detached and just focused on the big picture, but knowledgeable and curious and mindful of our employees' well-being and functioning, the operational practices of the corporation, the management practices, and the big picture. And it's not a job for everyone. Not everyone cares about or notices the beautiful intricacies of a functioning organization. But for those who do, it's that fascination and respect for the system that makes them crazy enough to do the job, to take on the endless late nights and all of the stress ever. Because at the end of the day, being a CEO means deeply understanding that you're not just making decisions for a company, you're making decisions for the people who work alongside you and for the people who trust and rely on your services.
I think what type of CEO I am is like, I really started tapping into my passion and just following my intuition around it. And like, that's really started and really tapping into how things make me feel. Yeah, it's one of those things people say it's corny, but it's so true. Like if you feel like you're successful and you feel like, you know, I don't know, you're taking actions, and it doesn't just mean in your business, right? Because one valuable thing I've learned is that, not just one, but like, you know, it's not just your business life, your life, it's all formed together. And like a lot of people try to keep it all separate, but you really can't. Like if you try to keep it separate, it doesn't flow. So, you know, the more fun and more joyful things you have, and that can be in your business, but outside your business too, it all affects your business and your life, how it's going to go. So I think I would call myself a heartfelt CEO now. Like I wouldn't have before, but yeah, definitely following your heart and your passion, like to serve whoever your tribe is and finding them. That's like really what lights me up. And the thing that really just lights me up even more is like, you know, like I know it's more than about food with people, for me, with people. And when you start seeing that shift, like, can you imagine what our world would be like? I'm going to start crying now. But that's what really lights me up. And I learned that like when I was telling my coach one day, like how we all are changing the world. And I can see it now, even though things are messy, like the whole, you know, our government and things like that, you know, but like, if you focus on what you're doing, like it really starts things to shift. And I can see and feel things shifting. And that's another one of my gifts as my coach I've learned to really own is like, you know, you may think you're ripples, but they really become big. And I can say that like just from personal relationships that have shifted, like things around my family have shifted and my business. So like it's all interconnected.
It means responsibility. It means the world of responsibility. I come to work and I see machines that I'm responsible for. I see people that I'm responsible for. I see whole lives that rely on us to know what we're doing so that they can function. And that is sometimes can be very stressful. And a lot of founders, I want to warn you, if you think that you're going to start a company or if you think that the boss is going to go away, you are wrong, because you become the worst boss in the world. You become the worst boss of you.
You know, for me, it's all about the freedom. I initially became self-employed because I don't fit in the corporate world at all. Just as an employee, it was too stifling to me. It was hard. It just doesn't fit with my personality. So I am what's called a lifestyle entrepreneur. I do this because I like the life that comes along with it. I like working from home. I like being able to go on vacation whenever I feel like it. And sometimes I take my laptop with me and I work, you know, but I get that. I have that total freedom, and that is just huge for me. And that's why I feel so strongly about sharing that with other people, because I actually think that that's probably true for others as well, and they just don't know it.
Sure. So I'm going to flip that and say co-founder, because technically I'm the COO and co-founder of FitSpot, but we honestly don't care about titles here. So that's probably one thing, not to care about the title, right? You're all working for someone or with someone towards something. But being a thought leader is really important to me, and it's really important for this business because the wellness space is nothing new. In particular, corporate wellness is nothing, it's been around for a very long time. But the way that FitSpot is redefining corporate wellness is new in this space. So really establishing ourselves as thought leaders that we know what we are talking about. We know why this is beneficial for your business or for your, property management group or whoever we're engaging with. The fact that we can set ourselves up to be a real leader in this space is something that's important to me because then people will trust us. They will understand what we're trying to sell and they will be on board.
Oh gosh, it's so funny. I have to admit that I didn't necessarily want to be a CEO. I was trying to get my niece to kind of do it with. It's a lot of pressure on everything falls on your head. So it's almost like the president of the United States. It's like anybody that wants the job probably shouldn't have it. So I look at that as the same with the CEO. You want to help someone. You want to pour out into the community and to uplift. But when it's a CEO, you really have to have a heart. It's so stressful and you can get so bogged down, but the people who are working under you, they're there to help you no matter what, you're in charge. So I had to, which was really good for the last, I would say 10 years before I even started my company. I did a lot of prayer, a lot of meditating. I didn't know what it was for. Now I know what it's for just because I'm a go-getter and I get up and I move really quick. What it did was slow me down to I can hear from my employees. And actually it's just my niece because she's an accountant because you're only as good as your employees. That our vision, that she understands Blue Skincare's vision, that I'm extremely transparent, that I'm not just, if I don't know, I'm going to say, you know what, this is what I'm believing. That's why I love prayer and meditation, because then I can go and just say, Lord, help me with this decision. And I always just want to treat people how I want to be treated. How many of us have worked at jobs where you were mistreated, looked over, favoritism, and people just, can't wait to get rid of you? I believe in giving people chances. I believe, of course, in vetting before you bring anyone on, but also giving people chances and encouraging them. So being a CEO to me is not just running Blue Skincare. It's not just making the decisions as to what we put on social media or what meetings that we attend. It's really about my customers and it's really about the people who work under me. It's because we're a team and it's not about Zandra. Regardless if it's my fault or not, I take the blame. I take the blame with whatever happens, regardless if it were my accountant's era or intern's era. You know what? Zandra Wilson falls on.
Well, I think going back through my history of being a serial entrepreneur, with fortunately more successes than failures, but still some failures, being the CEO really means that you don't have to make all of the decisions, but you can make the real key decisions and you're not kind of limited in what you can do. So the biggest challenge I see with a lot of organizations is that when they make a plan, they're so hard and fast on that plan that it doesn't allow them to flex and deal with the waves that are coming and going on a day-to-day basis. So as a CEO, if I've got some really brilliant idea that somebody on the team brings forward, we can change our plan in a heartbeat. And I'm all over that. If I wasn't the CEO, I might get frustrated that I couldn't do that. So probably why I think I'm probably not employable by somebody else. But it certainly is nice to be able to make decisions that you can act on right away.
I take it seriously in the sense that it's my brand, it's who I am, and I have this sense of responsibility toward my clients that whatever I say I'm going to deliver, I want to deliver that and more. And I want to put them at ease and I want to build that trust. So to me, a CEO means having that sense of responsibility and the ability to deliver what you promise and to keep your promises and to also stay on top of all the latest innovations that could be at our fingertips, because the world is changing so rapidly today that it's very helpful to stay on the cutting edge of that technology. So again, you can deliver those resources to your clients.
So for me, it's really about freedom to live my life the way that I want to live it, but also like being able to fully express like who I am through the work that I do, because I get to choose the clients that I work with and the things that I get to do on a day-to-day basis. And that just makes life so much more fun when you get to express who you are with your work and with the work you do with your clients. And I think what's interesting is that with technology, you used to have to have a bunch of employees to scale a business, and that's how you did it. But with technology and all the different things that we can offer, it's pretty cool to see other CEOs and entrepreneurs out there that are scaling their business that way. And so for me, it just opens up this whole new world, of how I can grow. And it feels really limitless when you think about it. You're really at in the driver's seat of how much success you can have. So that's my CEO definition.
To me, it's, that leadership role, that visionary role. We've got a remote team. We've got 14 people on our team. We do a good 7 figures in the business. But, some people have, a smaller company. And sometimes I think it's harder to be a CEO when you're smaller, right? Because it's easy for me to say, delegate. Well, if you've got a small team, CEO includes being, chief cook and bottle washer too. And every decision you make could be fatal for the business, right? If you've got 2 people on your team and you hire another one, you just increased your manpower by 50%. That has a huge financial impact. If the person doesn't work out, if it destroys the team, that's a huge, huge decision. A CEO with 1,000 people or 100 people, adding one more person, it's not as big of a thing. So I don't diminish the people that are CEOs of small companies, nor do I glorify the people that are the CEOs of huge companies. I think all of the challenges we have are all big to us. And, I sort of know where my sweet spot is. I've always said I will not own a company that has an HR department or a legal department, because I've worked in those companies before. And that's when the CEO stops being the CEO. He has to answer to somebody else. So not saying that's bad, but I just try building them up to a certain point and then letting somebody else take them over. Just sort of knowing my sweet spot and where my talents are.
It means essentially, overseeing the operations of the organization. And it means leading a team to do excellent work and help our clients build their businesses so that they can essentially, have the financial freedom that they need to, spend time with their family or, create a legacy for their family, whatever it is. But yeah, it is about the financial independence, but it's more about mentoring and leading people and creating something that's substantial and just overall just helping people get to where they need to be.
Being comfortable, right? And being comfortable in my skin and being comfortable in my clothes. When I was working for the different health systems, they always told me what I had to wear. And now that I'm a CEO, I get to decide, okay, well, if I'm going to a meeting and I'm going to a class and I'm going to a mentorship or a workshop, and I decide that I want to work out after that, well, I can wear, my workout attire to a certain extent to all of those things and still get done what I want to get done for myself. And also being true to who I am. I was a representation of all of the different entities that I work with, and I had to be mindful and cognizant of that on a constant basis, which kind of made me change who I was as a representation of who they are or who they thought they were. And now that I am, who I am, and I'm working for and working with and building KB Calls, I get to be Kiana. And, that goes and ties into that know thyself, because now I don't have to be apologetic for who I am. Yes, there are certain ramifications to me being true to myself, having good and bad days, but I also get to realize and be okay with being human, right? Making mistakes, learning from those, not repeating them. So just being comfortable in my skin and being able to wear what's comfortable and what's true to my personality. That's what being a CEO means to me, along with all the other stuff. But those are really the 2 things that I really enjoy about being a CEO and entrepreneur.
I think being a CEO means, celebrating in all the successes that a company has, but also learning from all the mistakes and learning from things that happen. But I would say the sort of most important thing about being a CEO is controlling the legacy. there's with AEI specifically, there's no programs that we have like an asterisk beside. We wholeheartedly support all of our partners. We wholeheartedly support all of our clients. Anytime they go away, we want to help them out for the whole trip. We want to make sure all the programs are awesome all the time. And I think being a CEO means you don't have to make excuses. There's not like I don't want to do this, but my boss over here is making me have this phone call. You yourself get to rewrite everything that you ever wanted to be about a boss, about a business, about everything. And it also means that you get to control any negativity or anything that's around. Thinking specifically about social media, we're a company. So anytime someone writes something that is like outwardly negative or talking about animal abuse or talking about, something negative about our clients, I get to immediately just shut it down online, which I really, really like. And that is like the true sort of like hashtag CEO life is saying like, nope, there's no trolls allowed. This is what we're doing here. We love our clients, love animals, love what we're doing. And I don't have to have a bunch of nonsense around me.
I think I would define it two ways. One being the CEO of Thrive Cryo Studio from a consumer standpoint. It means I'm helping make a difference in people's lives. I mean, we have individuals that come in each and every day that, they'll come in and say, like, I really needed this session today, or, my pain levels have gone down so much that I don't have to take my medication, as much anymore. I've weaned off the opioids that I was taking, or, individuals that come in with psoriasis all over their skin. It's like, I feel more confident about myself because these lesions aren't there anymore. Right. So I think from a CEO perspective, from a consumer facing side, it makes me sleep well at night that I'm helping people. From a business side point and just being a CEO in general, I'm just trying to chase my goals of, being able, I'm not looking for anything fancy, right? Like a lot of people think like, oh yeah, you're a big shot, you're a CEO. I just want to make a difference and be able to help individuals, other business owners, and having that network of influence as well to be able to encourage individuals that, may have gone through the same things that I'm going. And then from my stand, learning as much and being encouraged as well. And I think being a CEO has put me into that kind of network, if you will, because I would have never have been in this network if I continued just in the corporate world, if you will.
So that's an interesting question because I don't always define myself as a CEO. I'm definitely an entrepreneur and businesswoman. I am a CEO, of course, but I don't know that in my position that I've defined myself the same way you would define yourself as like the CEO of a very, very large company, although, our roles may be similar, but on a different scale. So the way I see myself is that, I am the leader of the pack and I am the captain of the ship, and it's my job and my responsibility. I think there's a big piece of that puzzle, which is the responsibility piece, my responsibility to my clients, my responsibility to my business, and my responsibility to my staff. And biggest of all is my responsibility to myself. So, as a CEO in a smaller type of company, I wear a lot more hats, I think, than a very well-defined CEO in a large company who's maybe not the COO and the CMO at the same time. I wear the CEO, the CMO, and the COO at times, and a lot of different hats. So, I'm pretty well versed in all those areas when it comes to my business. And so I see myself more as that a pilot or the captain of the ship, where I am making lots of decisions. I'm getting the information from my assistants, but I'm certainly wearing a number of different hats. So that's where I am with the CEO piece of the puzzle.
For me, being a CEO means that you're a leader and that you are helping lead and guide a team of people. Because it can't be done with just me. I'm definitely not a one-woman show. I have amazing partners. I have amazing operational staff that works hand in hand with me. And I absolutely would not be where I am today without all those other individuals. Collectively, we make a team. So if someone has a role that includes, cleaning up, you have to be willing to do that if it's necessary, and just lead by example.
That's a great question. I'm not going to start listing what I'm responsible for. I think the biggest responsibility of a CEO is its people. And my responsibility or my opportunity rather as CEO, I think, is to ensure that I give the chance to everybody that works with us to work in an environment that they love. We spend 3/4 of our lives working at jobs. And to me, it's ridiculous that we would work a job that we don't enjoy simply so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labors for the remainder 25% of the time. At Linky Law, just as I would expect any other CEO to do, I think it's important to put the people first and to ensure that the working environment that's being created, the culture that's being built, the work that's being done is fully there, is conscious, is honest, is real, is transparent, and is something that every person in the organization can be proud of and can stand for, can admire, can respect, and can work happily in.
So actually, we spoke about this a little bit. I feel like a bit of a fraud calling myself a CEO. So yes, the business we have a couple employees and I employ about a dozen to 15 guides. So yes, I'm not only providing a service, I'm providing some employment for some people. So that's kind of a business owner. I don't know at what point you become a CEO. I think when you get out of touch is, in my mind, is when you're a CEO. But I like that you're redefining it. And I think that makes a lot of sense. But, like you said, when you think of a Fortune 500 company, that's when you think of a CEO. But, as smaller businesses, we are CEOs.
Yeah, it's one of the things I love about your show and about your model is to say it can take lots of different forms. For me, first and foremost, it means being the spiritual leader of this community that I'm creating. So not that I'm perfect at it, but how can I help us walk and journey together with the mindset of having trust and faith, modeling being a non-anxious presence and leader, and really trying to help people grow closer to each other and to God, whether they've been faithful their whole lives or just starting to step in and explore it and ask questions for the first time. How can I help people grow spiritually, but also how can I model that and help with that? So I think for me, that's first and foremost, because if I don't hold that up and model that and exemplify that as a leader, then I can't expect other people to do that. It also means to me being a connector. So part of what I'm doing is creating community. And so I really value connecting with other folks who are part of the Arlington and DC community. And those might be people who would not be interested for a variety of reasons of ever becoming part of our specific faith community, but nonprofit leaders, business leaders, government folks. How can Arlington Commons Church be a partner with our community for the common good? Who are the folks that we can partner with to help make that a possibility? So it's connecting with the community on that level, but then also helping to connect people who do want to be part of this faith community or seeking a new way of doing faith. How can I help bring people together in small groups and service opportunities and worship opportunities? Because yes, I am the CEO, I'm the pastor, but my motto and vision is that I do not do this alone and that we are only a strong community if the gifts and talents and skills and relationships and participation of God's diverse people are at the table and participating. And that's what I'm excited about as we continue to build community, is to see what shape it might take, because I can have one vision, sort of a wide vision, but it also depends on who comes and what gifts and skills that they have to be part of that. But then it also requires, like a CEO of a business, to have those managerial kinds of skills in terms of managing budgets and finances and schedules and part-time staff and, volunteers who aren't staff, but are people who are taking leadership positions. So in addition to being a spiritual leader, connector, it also means having some of those managerial skills and living those out.
I think it's about providing leadership in the true sense of the word, right? About not just doing everything myself, about not being a dictator or mandating what I need, but about making my team better. We recently had a sales expert come in, and really the team was so scared. What are they going to say? What are they going to do? And I thought it's just about learning. And I think if you can be a good leader and help your team learn and grow, then everybody is going to be better for it. So I would say that being a CEO is really about being a leader in the type of of vein that you would want to be led, and wanting to get people to come to your table and to have a great attitude and to treat your customers the way you would treat them. And I think that all makes a difference. People always joke that we have so much fun at our company, silly things like we play games in the afternoons and we have talent shows and we play loud music when we pass out paychecks and whatever. And people were like, does your team work? And I think, I have to work here too. And so I want to be the kind of CEO that enjoys going to work myself and working with people who are happy to be here. And I think that is what makes a difference, being the kind of person for whom you would want to work, but also being a leader, getting your team to think for themselves and do for themselves and be strategic so that, again, it helps your business continue to grow.
I think what being a CEO means to me is living without regrets, in not settling for the safe life or the comfortable life, but truly willing to be fearless and relentless in making the impact that I want to make, in relating to myself as the one and entrusting myself that I've got this and that I only live one life. So living with no regret.
Wow. What does it mean for me? Pain in the ass. No, I'm kidding. Can we cuss on you? Sorry. No, it's a bittersweet place to be, right? So some days you just want to walk away. Like you don't want to deal with managing others. You're responsible for their salaries. You're responsible for people and their health benefits and this, that, and the other. And sometimes you just want to escape. But on the other hand, it's again, the same analogy. It's the beauty of that too, right? That you've created this thing and that you are responsible for other people and you are making other people's lives better. And this is just as the CEO, your employees, you give them, great benefits, you make it a fun environment for them to go every day. So, would I have it any other way? No. Or some days you want it the other way. Yeah. You want to go home and not have to stress about, oh my gosh, are we going to make it enough to everybody's salary? Or, do we need more clients or do we need to do A, B, and C? And you're constantly thinking about it. And sometimes you just want to go to work and then leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you know, you're a CEO. Sometimes, you're constantly going and other people might not even realize. They think, oh, well, they're not working. They're off doing whatever. But you are always working when you're a CEO, right?
Yeah.
I'm on my bicycle and riding my bike for my exercise. And what am I doing? I'm thinking about my next thing or whatever I'm doing for work tomorrow or whatever it is, to help this, that, or the other. And it's never ending. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, I definitely think you did. About the honest perspective of it, because I've always seen it as a roller coaster ride, because there's incredible highs, but there's also can be incredible lows. And it's definitely, a nonstop roller coaster. So I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah. And I've thought a lot about it. You go through some tough times with employees or whatever. And there have been times where I'm just I'm done. I'm just going to go get a 9-to-5 job. Yeah, those tough times. And I sometimes, you got to just push through and just keep plugging along, right? There's going to be, tough times with everything in life.
Being a CEO to me means the freedom to develop both the vision and execute it. It gives me the opportunity to become visible among an organization of fabulous individuals, whether it be in the healthcare industry, in the telecommunications industry, in the financial industry, network alongside of them, gather ideas and collaborate at a level that I can then bring back to my own organization. And, because I have always been more inclined towards the chief operating officer role and the execution of the CEO's vision, this is the first time that I have had an opportunity to take my own vision and then execute on it. And I think it's going to be very interesting over the next few years to watch that grow and to see how it can expand. So instead of fulfilling on someone else's vision, I'm getting an opportunity to fulfill on mine.
Being a CEO is really setting the tone for your company. You
are the one who is setting the leadership, creating the culture, and setting the standards for what you believe is right within your company. So it's not just checking boxes, hitting sales goals, bringing in new clients. It's also that community aspect of it, of with, even if you're a CEO of just your solopreneur CEO, you create the dynamic within your company. And so if you don't lead by example, how is your team, how are your clients that you work with going to be able to follow that and also know that this is the expectation? And so taking ownership of your behaviors, your attitudes, also admitting when you were wrong, I think that's a huge one, is all part of the bigger picture of what it means of being a CEO, more than just overseeing and day-to-day operations.
For me, it's going to be cheesy and cliche, but it really does mean time freedom for me. I get to plan how this corporation is going to grow in that strategy and in my personal plan. I'm doing it so that my success is not going to 100% be leveraged to my time. So I'm not going to be trading time for money. That is not the plan for me. Some of it is because that brings me joy and I want to interact with clients. But when you do things strategically, you genuinely, as a CEO, have the ability to decide when you're going to work and when you're not going to work. What do you want your income to look like? How do you make that happen? And does that involve you? And can you make it happen so that it's not always involving your direct interaction by fostering a good team? There's different things that you can do as a CEO that give you yourself freedom. And I think that for me is the most important about owning my own company. And also being able to leave it as a legacy for my children. So whatever I build here, I'm willing to my children. I know there's some other business opportunities that have that willable clause, which is fabulous. But I feel like that's a big check mark for me on what's important, is having that ability to build something that I leave to my children.
Sure. I think that my definition of being a CEO is really being able to live a life of purpose and knowing that you're spending your time the way that you were called to do. So for us, it's healthy living and helping people find what's going to work for them and finding that confidence. But it really just depends on what your purpose is and really going after it and knowing that it's going to be worth it, even if it's hard.
I like it. What does a CEO mean to me? For me, it's not being a dictator over a company, but being a leader, a facilitator, showing others how to do what you do and be their own leader and grow their own way. And whether it's, somebody or one of our coaches or one of our clients, I want to be there so that they can learn how to do this on their own, be independent and not dependent on me to figure something out for them. I want to give them the tools that they can learn how to figure this out.
For me, it means personal responsibility. It's like there's nobody else to blame for how it's going. I have to be crystal clear about who I am, the high vibration. What am I doing? How am I treating people? Have I thought about what I'm trying to give to the world? Am I overwhelmed now and I need to find good people to give some of the work to other people, which is what I'm finding. Do I have, all those questions, it's personal responsibility, taking responsibility for creating what I want to happen. And that includes life too. It's like personal responsibility in not only in work, but how's that working with the life balance? And, am I still, while I'm doing all this stuff, am I still in connection with my husband and my kids and my dogs and my cats and my sister? That's my piece.
I mean, being a CEO to me, I would say just means, freedom and flexibility first and foremost. I mean, it's just for me to be able to wake up every day and decide what I need to do that day to advance my business is complete freedom, first of all. And then it's also just the flexibility, not just of what direction you're going to take your business, but also just flexibility of where you can work. What kind of work needs to be done. It's just it's a very very much a freeing feeling to be running your own business for sure.
Yeah,
There's certainly plenty of stresses and burdens and the difficulties that go with it, but overall at the end of the day, it's it's definitely a wonderful thing.
taking responsibility for the failures, giving credit to your people when we succeed together, and putting yourself out there for the whole world to see, failing if necessary, but getting back on that saddle when things get tough or when you fail, and then riding your horse to victory. Because ultimately, this is a difficult thing, but you choose this life. And if you choose this life, you have to persevere, you have to lead the right way, and you have to show your people the right way to do things. And that's by leading from the front. And that's what I think it's all about.
I think I'm still discovering what it means for me personally, but I think that when we're blessed to be able to build our own business, our own empire, our own team, it means that we have a specific mission on our heart that we were born with, whatever that may be. So I think that that really means that we are thought leaders. You know, the online business, the world of entrepreneurship is revolutionizing the planet, and it's a wonderful thing. And we can say, oh, I've made this much in our monthly income report, but it's really bigger than that. I see being a CEO as how am I actually helping to facilitate change on the planet? So I think whatever really touches our heart in terms of bringing people water or helping people who are homeless or whatever we can do to take a percentage of what we earn to help other people is really what being a CEO is all about.
Wow. So I hope you enjoyed all those definitions of what it means to be a CEO, what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to be a business owner. And this is just part one of two more parts that will come forward just because there's so much information. We had so much great definitions and insight from some of the guests on our podcast. So I hope you enjoy this and understand this is just part one. We will have part 2 and 3. So make sure that you come back and you check out the next part 2 of what it means to be a CEO. And like I mentioned, there's tons of great definitions. So I hope you enjoyed it and definitely make sure to come back and check part 2.